Hello everyone, welcome to America's Third Party. We are in the midst of a tangential Tuesday where we are talking about a variety of things, and I found that during the entire show I was spending a lot of time being tangential because in the back of my mind the worst possible thing was happening. We have a Muslim president trying to start a war against Christians in Syria and trying to convince Congress to do it despite the fact that British House of Commons ruled against it because there's not enough evidence that Bashar al-Assad, the president of Syria, has actually been the culprit in this attack on Damascus of gas. We don't even know exactly what happened because news media is limited to accessing the specifics, but there's been a lot of talk from various sources that this gas has origins with a US signature on it. Now that belies a deeper, more sinister plan coming out of the Barack Obama administration. Now I've been saying for a long time that Barack Obama has been lying and deceiving to the American people. And when I say he was Muslim, I really believe that his Muslim roots can be drawn to those 3 or 4 years he spent in Indonesia in a madrasa. And we can't forget the fact that he has spent his entire life dedicated to the Muslim ideology. I mean, this guy has done more to worship this faith than you know. Let me show you a ring that has been on Barack Obama's finger ever since, 30, 40 years ago. When he married Michelle Robinson, now Michelle Obama, he was wearing this ring. And this ring, up close, is actually an Arabic expression on this ring. And translators have determined that it is saying that Allah is the one and only God. Now you've got a president that abdicated his relationship with Reverend Wright at the Trinity United Church in Chicago, and he hasn't picked up any new Christian faith anywhere near the White House. In fact, he even canceled prayer at the White House. Now I'm not a religious person myself. I believe in God and I have a personal relationship with the Lord, but I'm not a religious person. But these actions by this guy indicate that he is indeed worshiping Allah. And I think his directives are coming from the Muslim Brotherhood. It's very likely that Obama may very well be a direct member of the Muslim Brotherhood. In fact, that's coming out right now. That's some of the actions that are going on behind the scenes. People are saying that, let's see, we've got an Egyptian newspaper that is saying just that. Let me show you that right now. Here's the clip from it. This is coming from The Blaze. Egyptian newspaper's explosive allegation President Obama is a secret Muslim Brotherhood member. Yeah, that's right. It goes on to say that the newspaper claims that the son of an MB leader threatened Obama with release of papers revealing his MB membership. Pretty interesting. I'm going to post the link for all of you guys in chat so you can see this stuff. Thank you. And if you don't like what I'm saying because you voted for Barack Obama and you're on some sort of a guilt trip, I'm sorry you're suffering from white guilt. You need to stop that. This problem is way more severe than your white guilt can possibly understand. Bear in mind, I'm not saying these things about a guy who's wearing this ring finger right now. I'm saying it because our country's in jeopardy. Even as a Democrat of 30 years, I knew that war is bad, and I knew that there was a division in the Democratic Party when I was in various committee meetings, and I was against ratifying the war with Iraq, and I openly stated that Maria Cantwell wanted to ratify it, and I didn't think that was a good idea, and they told me to shut up. They told me to shut up in these Democratic committee meetings or clubs in our area. So I knew at that time that I could not possibly be a part of a party, part and parcel to a party that engaged in war or ratified war of any sort in an area where we don't even know for a fact that there were indeed WMDs. Now, this is the same scenario going on right now with Barack Obama, where we don't know if this gas, this sarin gas, was designed in Assad's government or from Russian sources. We don't know if it was designed in America and it was repackaged and sent through the rebel forces. I do know that we discussed this last night in my last video, about the connection between Benghazi and the Syrian attack on, or by the Syrian attack. I believe that the connection is drawn with a terrorist organization that America supported in uprooting Muammar Gaddafi, and that terrorist organization, by our own admission, government has admitted, is named Ansar al-Sharia. This terrorist organization was getting money from surreptitious sources like the CIA to attack Muammar Gaddafi and uproot his presidency. It did that, and in the process acquired 600 rockets. Bear in mind, over 6,000 rockets were spent over there by NATO forces in attacking Muammar Gaddafi. So 600 rockets were ferreted away and put in the hands of rebel forces that are now doing the same dirty work, right out of the same playbook of Libya, in Syria. That's the problem. Now, I got to tell you, folks, this is not something that's just going to, disappear on its own. The Democrats, Republicans, most likely are going to fall in line with the New World Order, and they're going to probably ratify this war, because that's what the news is telling us every single day. When we search the media, we see the same thing. It's going on and on. The talk about preparing Congress for a war with Syria. Everything's pointing in that direction. All the media is heading in that direction. Top story. Let's take a look at Google right now. They're taking our mind off of the problem. They're talking about a 727-pound alligator. Okay, but for the previous 3 days, all they talked about was Barack Obama's reason for starting a war. ABC, right. Oh, you're saying ABC News says Obama is a Christian, Doe? That's nice. Yeah. Saying anyone's a Christian doesn't mean they're a Christian, man. I just showed you direct evidence that proves that he's a Muslim. All right? What's wrong with some of you people? You just cling to whatever they tell you. You probably still believe Osama bin Laden was killed May 2nd, 2011 in Abbottabad, without even seeing a picture of his dead body, without even seeing a photo of his sheet-clad body being thrown over the Carl Vinson. Nobody on the Carl Vinson had a digital camera? You can't be that stupid. And how did they get DNA evidence in 2 hours? It's ridiculous. Of course, Osama bin Laden is dead. He probably died of kidney malfunction in 2001. But did he die in Abbottabad? Probably not. That was designed to cover up the whole birth certificate issue. Clearly, it came out within 2 weeks of the birth certificate controversy that Donald Trump brought up, and all of a sudden, our whole mind is swept away and talking about Osama bin Laden. Yeah. Something similar happened a couple days ago. A week ago. There was a tweet that Donald Trump put out that said that 31 agents, CIA agents, were on the ground the day that Chris Stevens died in Benghazi. And that was coming out of somebody who was leaking information from the CIA. And then the story came out that the CIA was lie detector testing everybody every other day to determine who was leaking the information. And then there wasn't a single bit of evidence or information brought up in the news since then. But what was talked about was some vague threat of terrorism from Al-Qaeda, and they closed the embassies for 2 days. 19, 20 embassies were closed, and then they opened them right up. They wanted to cover up that story because the last thing that the government wants us to know is what we're finding out on a daily basis. They didn't expect Edward Snowden to come out with the truth that he came out with recently, that the government's spending $52.6 billion on national security. They didn't want to talk about that. Along with 60 to 70 billion for Department of Homeland Security. I'm not mentioning that. That's not included. So we're looking at about $120 billion just to watch us every day. Our phone messages, our internet conversations, everything's being watched. They're spending a huge amount of money that we don't have to watch us. And then Edward Snowden revealed another thing, which was very interesting, that 1 out of every 5 CIA recruits are affiliated with Hamas, Hezbollah, or Al-Qaeda. Now, I ask you, every voter out there, do we really need an agency that is this corrupted and corruptible? Do we really need an agency that is operating with a screw loose and half-witted and coming up with false flag operations to cover up a bad president that doesn't know what to do with his birth certificate? This is perhaps the biggest turning point in our history. We're reaching it very close now. We're about to find out the truth about Barack Obama. And I'm bracing all of you for that possibility, that this truth will be so great that we Americans will be like, oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. Even Democrats are gonna be saying this. They didn't check to see that he was not working for another government. They didn't check to see if he was not born in America. Really, they didn't. They just went ahead and believed whatever Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi said. Thank you. All right, guys. Well, you know, I appreciate all of you that come into our room and chat, and I don't think for any second that you're wasting your time. We're developing a third party here. And some of you just don't like it. Some of you are enemies, just don't like it. And frankly, I enjoy the conflict. Bring it. Bring it. I enjoy it. I live on this. This is what I live on. So if you want a guy to take on the two parties in 2016, I'm the guy. I will get in their face. I will step into every pile of crap that they've created, and I will tell the American people what my position is and measure it against their position. Because I can guarantee you mine is backed with logic. Logically, there is no picture of Osama bin Laden's dead body. Logically, no one could have survived the helicopter accident in Abbottabad. Logically, the list goes on and on. Logically, the government should be coming clean about their operations in Benghazi. Chris Stevens was probably being used as a conduit for this terrorist organization to send information in to Ansel al-Sharia, the terrorist organization. Now, what you're experiencing, we have an open channel right now. And when you hear somebody come on the channel at any given time, you're actually hearing the NSA try to intercept this conversation and shut me down. This is what they know they have to do. They can't stop us any other way. The only other way is to take me out, just physically blow my head off. So their only option, because what I do complies with U.S. law in every way, what I do is generate interest, create controversy, spike the political dialogue, and talk about the issues. And that's something they can't handle. I welcome you to watch our show every night, 6 to 9, the 6 to 9 show. And I can tell you that we are dedicated to stopping the two-party tyranny over this nation, this great nation. We are dedicated to building this party from scratch, if need be. And I urge you to contribute. Go to our website, americasthirdparty.com, and make a contribution. We are going to be buying cable TV ads across the nation in 2015 to get ourselves promoted in the media, because the mainstream media is purposely ignoring our press releases. Thank you very much for coming in, and do watch our show in the future. Weeknights and now our anti-war rally every Saturday, 6 to 9 Pacific. Thanks again for coming in.